Thank you for the introduction, and thanks to all of you for joining us this morning. It's great to be here again after 10 years at SKID event. My name is Mikko and I bring you greetings from across the pond from Helsinki. And I've been working in cybersecurity for 33 years now. The world has changed during these decades. Changed for the better and for the worse. You see, nothing changes our society as much and as quickly today as technology revolutions. And every technology revolution brings us benefits and it brings us problems. We get benefits and we get problems. It's always a trade-off. And no matter how much we would like to get just the benefits, we will get the problems, whether we like them or not. And this repeats over and over again. The internet revolution is the best thing ever. Brought us global communications, global business opportunities, global entertainment. It's great. And at the same time, it brought us global risks, global crime, and problems like cyber war. So, every revolution brings us benefits and problems. However, I have hope. I have hope for the future. I think, despite what it might feel like, I think our cybersecurity is better than ever. And I know it doesn't feel like it. When I say that our cybersecurity situation is better than ever, people think about all the ransomware problems we have and data leaks and attacks and denial of service attacks and things being attacked all the time. And that's true. Clearly we have problems. However, just think about the security of the computer you were using 10 years ago and the security of the computer you're using today. It really is like night and day. 10 years ago, we were still fighting problems like drive-by downloads infecting your Windows computers through flash exploits, and you got hit with flash exploits simply by visiting a hacked website. That doesn't happen anymore. We fixed that. In fact, the single biggest improvement in cybersecurity over the last, I say 15 years, has been the introduction of these mobile devices. When you look at the operating systems we run in our iPhones and Android devices, those are clearly superior in security to anything we run on our computers. We don't often think about it like that, but that's the way it works. We often think that these mobile devices are like small computers or toy computers. Actually, it's the opposite. They are superior in their security model compared to Windows or Mac OS or even Linux. Why? Because they are more modern and more restricted. So when you need to do something really important, sign an important agreement, make a big deal, move a lot of money between bank accounts, it's actually a better idea to do it on your iPhone than on your Windows computer. So what I'm saying is that we are making progress. Security and privacy are getting better, even though it doesn't always feel like it. But if you take a step back and look at the big picture and look at how the world is changing, it is getting better, not worse. And one of the key building blocks we need for technology to work is strong identity. Identity is a basic building block needed for our societies to function. And identity has changed thanks to this technology revolution we're living through. It used to be something in the real world. Today, identity, like everything else, is bits. Bits on your computer. And the attackers who want to steal our identity or gain access to our systems, masquerade as ourselves, they can't hide forever. You see, we quite often hear the saying that it only takes one mistake from us defenders and then the attackers can get in. And that's true. Yeah, it's true. However, there's a flip side. It only takes one mistake from the attackers to get caught. The criminals only need to make one mistake and we'll be able to find them, work with the law enforcement to arrest them, prosecute them and sentence them. And that's the thing where we should be doing better. Over the 3 decades that I've been working with cybersecurity, I've seen a lot of cybercrime and a lot of cyber criminals. I've hunted down and worked with law enforcement in many countries, including here in Estonia, to get online criminals taken down. It is possible, but it's probably also the area where we are right now failing the hardest. We should be better in finding online criminals, prosecuting them and sentencing them. You see, that doesn't only fix the immediate problem. I mean, take away these attackers from the field. It also shows an example to the potential upcoming future online criminals. Because right now there's a lot of clever young people, especially living in more developing countries, who have the technical skills but who don't have the opportunities. And they look up to these cyber criminals who are posting pictures on their Instagrams about the Lamborghinis they drive. And they want a piece of that. And they know that especially in the area where they are living, probably the fastest way to get a lot of money is to go into life of crime. And if they see that online criminals are never caught, why wouldn't they go into life of online crime? And that's the thing we must be able to change. We must show to the future potential online criminals that crime doesn't pay, not even online crime. And I think the biggest change I've seen during the decades that I've worked in cybersecurity has been the change in the enemy. When I started analyzing viruses, they looked like this. And to the younger members in the audience, this is a floppy disk. This is what USB thumb drives used to look like in the 1990s. And this one is actually infected. This one is infected with the form.A boot sector virus from 1992, one of the viruses that I analyzed back in the beginning of my career. And these early viruses were written by hobbyists for fun. And those days are behind us. Today, nobody writes viruses for fun. Nobody creates malware for fun. Nobody sends spam or phishing attacks for fun. Nobody steals identities for fun. It's all about money, or it's all about power. Today, the happy hackers are gone, and they've been replaced with organized online crime gangs or by governmental attacks. And I meet a lot of leaders as I go and meet companies and organizations in different countries. I meet CEOs and CISOs and CIOs and CTOs and leadership team members and board members and And I've never met a company or an organization which would assume that we're probably going to be hit next. Everybody always assumes the opposite. And why would they hit us? Especially if you're not a huge brand, a very visible target. If you're a normal company, especially a small or medium-sized company, it's a very common thought that, how would they even find us? How would they know about us? Why would they attack us? And whenever I hear that, what I always do is that I take out my computer, I boot up my Tor router, and I connect to the Tor hidden service, and I go to a website of a ransomware gang. Like Lockbit, or Akira, or Black Pasta, or Play, or Quantum, or RansomX. Pick any of these. These are all examples of the largest organized online crime gangs in the world. Ransomware gangs break into organizations, steal accounts, use those account rights to travel inside the organization, do lateral movement, try to gain access to admin rights or domain admin rights or root access, targeting Windows systems, Linux systems. We found a new ransomware targeting FreeBSD servers last week. And then when they have enough access, they steal all the files, and then they encrypt all the files, and then they post the victim on their website, like here. And every victim has a timer. You have 18 days and 18 hours to pay the ransom. If you don't, this university will have their email archives and document archives posted publicly. This company from Australia has 18 days and 17 hours to pay the ransom in Bitcoin. And then when I'm speaking with these leadership team members, I don't just show the website, I start scrolling around the website. How many victims do they have? The green ones are the ones which didn't pay the ransom. Their information is already published. You can download their document archives, their cloud archives, and their email archives by just clicking on the link. And I just keep scrolling the site. Companies from everywhere around the world. And the list never ends. Thousands and thousands of victims from all over the world, all kinds of organizations, private companies, public companies, right next to each other. You have a furniture manufacturer from Copenhagen, then a bank from Vancouver, and then a steel mill from Sao Paulo. Completely different business areas, everywhere around the world, companies of all sizes. It looks like somebody would have shot to the internet with a shotgun, hitting random targets. That's what it looks like. Why? Because the attackers don't start from the victims. They start with an exploit. There's this vulnerability in this VPN server or in this RDP server. Let's scan the whole IPv4 address space. And let's find all the vulnerable servers everywhere in the world. IPv4 space has 4.2 billion addresses. You can scan it through in 5 hours. In 5 hours, they have a list. 10,000, 20,000 computers. And then they start going through the list and they end up with this. That's why it's so random. And when I show this list to companies, then they get it. Okay, I see. If these companies were hit, we can be hit too. Nothing's protecting us. They're not really looking for us. They're looking for a vulnerability. If we are not fully up to date, if we are not fully patched, if we don't have the visibility, if access tokens can be stolen, if identities can be stolen, they will get in. Another thing they often ask me questions about is about the site itself. That how come these criminals run a website? They have a name. The gang has a name. They have a logo. And then I tell them that, yeah, all these gangs have logos. They have names. They have websites. They have logos. They are doing branding. These are crime gangs which are branding themselves. Which might sound surprising. Like, why would a crime gang do branding? until you realize that real-world crime gangs have been doing branding for years and years. Some of the strongest brands in the world are brands like Hells Angels. Everybody knows Hells Angels. Or other real-world crime gangs like Bandidos, or Los Zetas, or MS-13, or Yakuza, or Triads, Cosa Nostra. And the thing about a real-world crime gang like Hells Angels or Bandidos is that everybody knows them and everybody knows that it's serious. Like, you don't screw around with these guys. You don't want to have a problem with these guys. And that's exactly what these online crime gangs are trying to do. They're trying to build a brand which is well known and scary. Imagine working for an IT department for a company, coming to the office Monday morning only to realize that, oh my God, we've been hit with ransomware. And then, oh my God, it's Lockbit. Oh my God, it's Akira. Oh my God, it's Play. Because people who work in this industry know these gangs by reputation, and the reputation is scary. These gangs have been in business for years. 5 years, 6 years, even longer. They've attacked thousands of organizations. They've made millions and millions with their attacks. But you also know that the victims who have paid the ransom, their files were not leaked. They got the decryption tools and they recovered their files. So these gangs are building a reputation that they are criminals, but they are honest criminals. People you can do business with. Victims will speak with earlier victims that, hey, you got hit by this same gang last month. What happened? And the victims will explain that, yeah, we got hit. We had backups, but the recovery would have taken 4 weeks. We couldn't have them leak our files because they included health data of our employees, so we decided to pay the ransom. We paid the ransom and they didn't leak anything, didn't attack us again, and they gave us tools. One of our servers was corrupted, we couldn't get it running, but the criminals helped us. Their tech support team worked with our guys, and we got everything back. 5 out of 5 would recommend. That's the kind of reputation these gangs are trying to build. And if organized online cyber gangs are a problem, wealthy organized online crime gangs are even a bigger problem. These gangs have been making a lot of money over these last years. And to make matters worse, they've been keeping most of their wealth in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Monero. Bitcoin right now is at all-time high. These gangs have become wealthy almost automatically by simply sitting on top of the money they've made through ransom attacks. The biggest ransomware payments this year that we know of have been in the United States. The biggest is a company called CDK. They paid $25 million. It's a company making car dealership software in the United States. So in USA, dealerships selling Jeeps or Lexus or Nissan run this software to run the shop. The software company behind that paid the $25 million. The second largest payment we know of is $22 million from United Health. And that's a remarkable case because the gang in question is called Alpha or Alpha V, maybe the third or fourth largest ransomware gang in the world. United Health was attacked. They paid the ransom, $22 million, and they didn't get the files back. One of the Alpha ransomware gang leaders did what we call an exit scam. When the payment was done, he didn't tell anyone. He took the bitcoins and disappeared because no one else knew who he was. Then the actual attacker who still had the data sold the data, which ended up getting leaked, and that included health information for 100 million US citizens. 100 million people. There's 360 million people in USA. Almost 1 in 3 lost their health data in that attack. sort of reminds me of the Vastaamo breach we had in Finland 4 years ago, which is one of the stories where we do have a victim, the attacker found, prosecuted and sentenced. The guy behind the attack is in jail right now. So what should the authorities be doing about this? Law enforcement, intelligence agencies, and our legislators and regulators. Well, clearly we should be doing a better job in protecting security and privacy of computers and technology systems, because today our societies run on computers. I'm a computer security guy. I've been securing computers all my life. And I used to think that my job is to secure computers. I'm a computer security guy. I secure computers. For years and years, that's what I thought. Until I realized that today our societies are run by computers. So if you work in cybersecurity, your job is not to secure computers. Your job is to secure the society. That's your job. And I don't think we really realized that when we got into this business. Over these years, that's what's happened. Everything is being run by computers. The lights are on in this room thanks to computers. The water is coming out of the tap thanks to computers. If you work in cybersecurity, you're securing the society. That's why regulators and politicians should care and should understand this area as well. And I'm not a big fan of regulation, I have to tell you that. I think most regulation fails. I guess everybody hates the cookie law, which had really good intentions. Let's inform the citizens whenever their personal information is recorded through the use of cookies. But the end result, which simply is that every time you access a website, there's a pop-up. I just click OK to make the box go away. Click. I don't think it really helps anyone. GDPR, I think it's kind of a success story. You see, before GDPR, when companies lost your information, like your credit card numbers, they didn't tell you. Like, why would they tell you? That's bad news. If they didn't need to tell you, they wouldn't. Now they need to tell you by law, which is good. That's clearly a win. The planned EU wallet, which will bring different kind of solutions like driver's license and maybe health information in one place, in one app everybody will have in their phones. Well, that's a bold project. If it works out, that's going to be great. But we'll see if it works out. These large EU-wide projects aren't always the kind of success stories we hope they could be. EU was the first area in the world to pass regulation on artificial intelligence almost 7 years ago. 7 years ago. That was ahead of the wave, wasn't it? And of course, the regulation that was passed back then was regulating a completely different world. Because today, we don't speak about AI, we speak about generative AI. Reached with new technologies like transformers, which really changed everything. Generative AI sounds like a fancy word, but what it really means is that it's a system that can generate content. You show it content, then it generates content like that. You show it text, it generates text. You show it Finnish text, it generates Finnish text, or Estonian, or French. You show it code, like C or Rust, it picks up the language and learns how to program. You show it images, it makes images. You show it movies, it makes movies. You show it songs, it makes songs. That's what generative AI means. In most languages, the word for computer comes from Latin, computare, which means a calculator. So a computer is a calculator. In most languages, that's the way it goes. With some exceptions. In Norwegian computer is a data machine, which means a data machine which has information. We were speaking about language during the break before we got here with Anto from Kybernetica, and about how here in Estonia, of course, it's arvuti, which is a little bit different from some other languages. And of course, to us Finns, it sounds funny because it sounds like arvaus, which is guessing. So to us, your word for computer sounds like it's the guessing machine. It's the machine that guesses, which actually isn't too far away from these large language models we have today. But in Finnish, in my language, it's tietokone, which means knowledge machine. It's the machine that knows. It's the machine that knows. And I've worked with computers since I was 14 years old. And the computers have known nothing. They've known nothing. They've done exactly what you programmed them to do. And that's it. And that's the thing that's changing right now. Now we are seriously entering the world of Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, the science fiction book which describes how everybody has this device which knows everything, translates all the languages, has all of the mankind's knowledge. And of course we have it now. We've built the device. Everybody has one. If you have Claude or GPT in your iPhone, in your pocket, you have the Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy today. And the change in generative AI is happening very fast. Earlier this year, I was in San Francisco. I needed to go somewhere and I booked one of these. That's Waymo, which is basically like Uber or Bolt, except when you take the app and you book it to go somewhere, it comes and picks you up. And that's my video of sitting in the passenger seat. As Waymo, without a driver, navigates its way in the rush hour traffic through roads with roadworks, pedestrians jumping on the street, no problem whatsoever. It really does feel like the future. And it's all based on the fact that mankind's knowledge is now data. It used to be on paper, now it's bits. And we can feed bits into computers. And we've built storage systems that can hold all of mankind's knowledge. We call it the cloud. And we've built these massively fast computers, GPUs, that can actually eat all the data. And like I said, it's not just text. This is not just large language models. We saw images and video earlier made by computers. And then there's music. Now, many of you, maybe all of you, have heard songs and music made by generators like Suno or Udio. But earlier this year, I made a forecast. I tweeted that I'm guessing that we will be getting a top 100 hit during this year, which is made entirely by an AI. 2 months ago in Germany, a song called Verknallt in einen Talahorn was charting at chart position 27. It charted in top 40 in both Germany and in Austria. And the song is made with Udio, the generator. The person who made the song wrote one sentence. Give me a 1960s style song about the Talahorn youth culture. Click. Would you like to hear the song?
Letzte Woche Kirmes war anders wild. Ich hab mit den Chayas am Autoscooter gechillt. Da hab ich einen Talahorn aus der Ferne erkannt. Mit Seiten auf Null und Vape in der Hand. Er hat ne dicke Schale und wirkt richtig hart. Aber er fragt jeden Kerl, ob er Probleme hat. Ich glaube, ich bin verknallt in einen Talahorn.
What do you think? I think if you would be driving down the Autobahn somewhere close to Munich and you would hear this from the radio, you wouldn't think twice about it. You wouldn't think it's AI, would you? It sounds like a 1960s song, except she's singing about the Talahon youth culture, about teenagers smoking vapes and dressing up in Gucci clothes. And I think the interesting question here is that this song was charting for multiple weeks. It made a lot of money. Where should the money go? Where should the money go? Who's the artist here? Should the money go to the guy who wrote the sentence, "Give me a 1960s song"? Click. Or should it go to Udio, the company which made the generative AI system here? Or should it go to the artists whose original songs were used to teach the system? Or should it go to the AI itself? Should we set up a bank account for Udio and move, I don't know, cryptocurrencies there, and it would be free to do what the hell it wants with the money? And I don't have an answer for you. But we used to think that intelligence and creativity comes from, how should I say this? Comes from meat, right? Because we are meat. We are intelligent. Animals are intelligent. Things made out of meat are intelligent. We are creative. We can make art. And we used to think that it required meat to be intelligent and creative. And now we are learning that it doesn't, because that's not meat. And it's creative, and it's intelligent. We started to build artificial intelligence systems so computers would do all the boring things and we could do all the fun stuff. And now it turns out that computers are doing all the fun stuff. And we're ended up with the boring things. The jobs that are threatened by generative AI revolution are the kind of jobs which have never been threatened by technology revolutions before. All the previous revolutions took away a lot of jobs from working class, blue-collar industries. Innovation of steam engine and electrical engine made a lot of people unemployed, but they were people working with physical labor. And this revolution is going to make lawyers and programmers unemployed, while plumbers will have exactly as much job as before. So if your kid asks you, what should I study? The answer should be that you should study to become a plumber. That's a great job. Won't be taken away by AI. We used to think that creativity belonged to us, and now we are learning that it doesn't. And I hate this. And I don't know why I hate this. The idea that the best poets in the world will be machines is an idea that I hate. But at the very same time, I'm completely convinced that will happen. And when I say the best poets, I really do mean the best poets, in the sense that, let's say in 5 years or maybe 10 years, we would gather around in this movie theater and we would take the latest and greatest generative AI poets and put some poems made by machines on the wall, and then we would take the best poems made by the best human poets and put them on the wall. And we would decide which ones we prefer. And everybody in the room, every single one of us would prefer the poems made by the machines, that they are much better, much deeper, have more meaning. They touch me at a deeper level. That's what I mean. Better in that sense, that we would all agree that they are better. That's going to happen. And I hate it. But I don't really know why I hate it. Maybe because I'm a human. I prefer humans or something stupid like that. But it's going to happen. And when people think about companies like OpenAI, I often hear comments like, these guys should be careful, because if they're not careful, they might make these things too intelligent. And those people haven't realized what is the mission of OpenAI. OpenAI's mission is to create artificial general intelligence, which is human-level intelligence. That's the goal. They're not building image generators and word generators. They're building human-level intelligence. That's the goal. And when it reaches human level, then it will immediately bypass human level. The human level of intelligence is completely arbitrary. This is not top of the line. The average human IQ is 100. That's how we define IQ. It's perfectly possible to create a 1,000 or a 1 million IQ system. And it's possible because this is the first technology revolution that has the potential of improving itself. It can improve itself. How? Well, you take the source code of a system and you show the source code to the system itself. Here's your source code. This is you. You are this. Read through your own code, understand how you work, and then improve yourself. Compile the new version, run the new version, and speak with the new version. Hi, I'm the old version of you. Here's your source code. I wrote this. This is you. Read through your code, improve yourself, run it, and then talk with the new version of you. Ask it to improve it again. And then you repeat this cycle for, 1 billion times. And you end up with something that we humans have no hope in hell understanding anymore. And it's going to be superior in every way. Computers are superior to humans in many things, like calculations or remembering things. They will be superior in everything else as well. Upsides are obvious, downsides are obvious as well. And like with every technology revolution, we cannot get just the upsides. We will get the downsides as well. Some of the downsides we know pretty well, like deepfakes. So let me play you a deepfake video.
Okay, so this is the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm announcing a crypto giveaway. We're celebrating the upcoming 5th launch of SpaceX Starship. We're giving away millions of dollars in crypto, so go to btcspacex.com. Less than 24 hours remaining.
Do not go to btcspacex.com. It's a scam site. And yes, it looks like Elon Musk, sounds like Elon Musk. It's not Elon Musk. Yes, the very same Elon Musk who just a couple of weeks ago was posting deepfake images of Kamala Harris on X. Let me just underline what happened here. What happened here was that the richest man in the world posts deepfake images of the Vice President of the United States and a presidential candidate on his own social media site. What the hell, Elon? What is this shit? Sounds incredible, but it happened. Did any of this matter for the election results? I don't know. But the deepfake problem is interesting. Every time we have a technology revolution, we tend to overestimate the speed of the revolution and underestimate the size of the revolution. This happens over and over again. If you think about the internet revolution, we had the dot-com hype and the dot-com boom. 1999, 2000. The easiest example of the hype and boom were stock valuations. All companies which had anything to do with the internet had sky-high valuations. In fact, if you go and look at the historical stock charts for companies like Intel or Cisco, you'll see that even today, their all-time high stock value was in 1999, 25 years ago. They still haven't reached the values they had in the middle of the dot-com hype. And these values were because of promises that were given to investors about how internet is going to change the world. What kind of promises? Well, promises like one day we will all be doing shopping online. Or one day we will all be watching movies online. That kind of promises, which are like, duh, well, that happened. Yes, Absolutely. Today we are all doing shopping and we are all watching movies online. Absolutely. However, it didn't happen in 1999 or 2000 or 2001 or 2 or 3. It took considerably longer, but it did happen. And then when it did happen, the revolution was much, much bigger than what we thought in 1999. Because in 1999, internet meant that you have a desktop computer with a big CRT screen and you can go online. Nobody was thinking that eventually everybody's going to go to the internet with a device that everybody has in their pocket. This is the main access tool for gaining access to the internet today. And I think this is what's happening with AI right now. And it might very well be that in 25 years from now, we will look at historical stock chart of NVIDIA and wonder how come the all-time high for NVIDIA was 25 years ago in 2024. That's perfectly possible. And in some weird way, we see the same hype cycle also in AI attacks and problems. A lot of people assume that we're seeing real-time deepfake videos being used all the time to attack companies. Like, Teams calls where the CFO, deepfake of a CFO calls the financial clerks to ask them to move money, which is technically doable, but for some reason we aren't really seeing them, not yet. The things that we are seeing today are things like these. That's a WhatsApp message between the CEO of a company and a financial clerk for the company. And it starts with a voicemail message.
I'm Fed on Paul as well. I need you to manage an undisclosed deal from the company from Sweden. Please let me know when you're available.
I need you to manage and disclose the deal with the company from Sweden. Please let me know when you're available. The CEO confirmed that, yes, that's my voice. No, I didn't say that. Then the rest of the scam continues in WhatsApp as messages. So that's a deepfake attack against the company. Happened this year. I have 2 examples of this where we have the recording. But that's just audio. And that's not real time. That's a pre-rendered deepfake voice. Pretty simple compared to what we know could be done and will be done. So data shapes the world. And you often hear the saying that data is the new oil. Data is the new oil. And you know what? I kind of like the saying. I think it's pretty accurate. When you pump crude oil out of the ground, it's worthless. You can't do anything with crude oil. You have to refine it. Then it becomes valuable. Same thing with data. Raw data is worthless. But when you refine it, it becomes very valuable. So if data is the new oil, AI is the new oil refinery. If data is the new oil, AI is the new oil refinery. And if you work with data, you have to worry about data leaks. If you work with oil, you have to worry about oil leaks. Most importantly, I'd like to thank you for your work. Because rarely is anyone thanked for stopping a disaster which didn't happen. And that's what we, people who work in security and privacy and identity, are doing. And identity is one of the most crucial building blocks of connected societies. That's what it is. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And now we have time for questions, and I hope to see the questions.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard the saying that never trust a man with a ponytail?
So we are selling trust here.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we have questions. Is AI virus for toe? That is a weird question.
We'll skip that.
It's a weird question still. I see that this upvote has reached 62, so 62 persons have already found the question position. We had a thought before that we take one question from the audience to have this one very quick person, because we have a question here as well, but we have need for one quick person who has a question to Mikko now.
Here live in the audience.
In a live audience.
And there's a trick, because the person who has the question right now gets a copy of my latest book.
Yeah, there is a giveaway for the specific question.
Do we have any questions? Yes.
Yeah, now we have. Where we had the first
free
question,
book.
there was a male voice before. There is a male person, Kaido probably. He's a name, like every Estonian is named Kaido, that's why I guessed that.
Kaido or Kalev, yes. And all the Finns
Kaido, your
are
question.
all the Finns are Mikko or Mika. So please, I'll repeat the question. What would be the ideal or the best version of GDPR 2.0? It sounds like a question which would require a lot of thinking, actually. GDPR, as I said, I would consider it a success story, especially when you compare it to many other regulations. A good example on why it should be considered to be a success story is the fact that it's being cloned. California privacy regulation is basically a clone of GDPR. I was traveling in South Africa earlier this year. Their new privacy regulation is basically also based on GDPR. So clearly we did something right there, because other parts of the world want to set some similar legislations or regulations. So it's a good start. What should we change for 2.0? Clearly, we have to take this AI revolution in consideration for the next version of privacy regulations. One thing we must put in writing, even though it sounds a little bit like science fiction, but we should regulate it anyway, is that bots, robots, and artificial intelligence entities must not have privacy. Humans have privacy, machines should not. And what I mean by this is that, for example, if I'm walking down the street and there's a drone shooting video of people, that drone must not have privacy. I, as a human, must have the right to know whose drone, what is it doing? Or when there's an AI entity, I'm going to a tech support chat, and I'm speaking with a robot or chatting with a robot, and it feels like a human. I'd like to be told that the system you're speaking with is not a human. When we humans interact with things that are not human, I think we deserve to be told. And these expert systems like tech support chats are a real good example of the things where AI excels. So for example, medical systems are a prime example of where we can have great results with the combination of human knowledge and AI knowledge. And what I mean by this is that if I get sick, there's something wrong, I go to doctor, they take the blood tests, they take the x-rays. I don't want to go to a machine, I want to go to a human. I want to have the human touch. I want to have the emotion, someone who connects with me. However, I would like to go to a doctor who also uses AI as an expert system to help him in his work. You see, we train our doctors very highly. They train for years and years. They read 1,000 books. But clearly, they can't read everything. They can't remember everything. So a human doctor who would feed my blood tests and my pictures into an expert system, which is an AI, which has read every medical book in history, in all languages, including the latest research published yesterday, and remembers everything. That's the kind of combination that I'd like to get the benefits out of when I would need medical system. And our regulation should support that.
So should the doctor then tell you that I consulted
Yes.
this
Yes.
AI?
Yes. And yeah,
But
they should not keep the
Kaido,
data as well.
I think for the first question quickly from the audience, you deserve the book.
So come and pick it up. Thank you.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to still follow the questions here. So upvote the questions you see. The wallet question, we'll pass it on. But Mikko, will the future of crime have more need for identity thefts, like from the real humans, or synthetic identity creation by AI that humans do not distinguish from the real ID?
There's different crime types, and this has always been changing. If we look at what were the most typical cyber crimes 5 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, they were not the same as we have today. I spoke about ransomware here quite a bit because that is the biggest problem today. It probably won't be the biggest problem in 5 years. Something else will take its place. But in almost all of the crime types we see, it's about access control, lateral movement, and stealing identity that's used to gain access deeper into the systems that the attackers are going into. So it continues to be one of the biggest failures we have. The fact that we can't, in all environments, do strong identity and enforce it to make sure that only the real users with the real human rights can do the things they have the rights to do.
But Alexa will actually behave in the name of Kalev soon, in all those systems. Like, is that a synthetic identity? Is my identity then?
No, it's not. It could be your agent. If you want to use an agent who assists you in your work, I see no reason why it should work as you. It would be Kalev's agent, which would be a separate entity with its own identity, maybe with similar rights, maybe with access to your information, or the information you want to share with your agent. But we can have granular identity, and these agents and expert systems we will be using to help us in our daily work don't need to pose as us. They can be our helpers.
Okay, we have a next question. Has there been cases where cybercrime gang has changed sides, turned into normal, honest security company? Like we know individuals, do we have gangs?
Right. No, we don't. I don't have a single example of that. But what we have had is that these gangs have set up legal entities as front ends. Maybe the best known example is the Russian cybercrime gang Fin7, operating from somewhere in Moscow area. They've set up legal companies in Switzerland at least twice, companies which were posing to operate in penetration testing. And the reason why they did these companies is that they used them as a cover story to recruit legal, honest security researchers to work for the enemy. So they set up this company that, hey, we do penetration testing, we pay really great salaries, fully remote positions, come and join our startup. And then when people joined, like security people joined, and some people did, joined the company, they were given, training to get into the job. Here's our company, and here's your first client. This client has ordered a penetration test. You have 2 weeks to find all the ways into their networks. Go. Please write a report about all the vulnerabilities you find. And the problem is that this client never ordered a pen test. And then Fin7 gang used these vulnerabilities, which were found by professional, real pen testers, to actually break into these networks. I think that's the closest we've seen.
The next question, is AI then a virus for you? That's what we didn't figure out before. Like, do you consider that to be a virus by itself?
No, I don't think
that's
it's a
virus.
agent. It's I don't think that's a good way to think about it. It's a major revolution. And I think the way you can always tell when an innovation is a major innovation is that you explain the innovation to someone, and to that someone it seems pretty obvious. I explained to you earlier generative AI. Generative AI is a system where you show it content and it generates content like that. Pretty simple. Another example, blockchain. It sounds really complicated and technical. Then when you explain what a blockchain is, well, it's a list of transactions where every transaction is unchangeable forever and public forever. That's it. That's a blockchain. And whenever you explain it like that to people, they're like, huh? Well, that's pretty obvious. Yes, it's pretty obvious now that it's been invented. It wasn't obvious before Satoshi Nakamoto invented it. That's how you can tell that an invention is a big deal, that it's obvious, but it's only obvious after it's been invented.
The next question, is law enforcement currently competent enough to find the cyber criminals?
No.
If not, how should they be found?
I'm being unfair here. Law enforcement, in general, does a great work in fighting cybercrime. One of the fastest forms of, or one of the fastest growing forms of crime altogether. But they have an uphill battle. We have a lack of security experts in all areas. Law enforcement is no different. Law enforcement has challenges in finding the best technical experts to work for them because there's such a competition for skill. And that's one of the problems we have. Defense has a similar problem as well. Some of our employees who used to work for us in their career, they've ended up working for law enforcement or for certs or for the military. And typically it's because of some kind of higher cost. It's not because of higher salaries. It's because in those positions you gain access to the kind of information that you don't gain access in private sector. You get to work with really interesting and exciting cases and your work really matters. But it's typically not about the salary. It's about these other adding factors. And that's maybe the challenge law enforcement has. But nevertheless, my point stands. The thing where we are failing the hardest in cybersecurity is actually finding the criminals, arresting the criminals, prosecuting the criminals, and sentencing the criminals. I mentioned the Vastaamo case in Finland, which has the best possible ending. We found the guy. I worked on the case for a very long time. He was prosecuted. He got maximum sentence that he's serving right now. The sentence is 7 years. The biggest crime in our country's history. More victims than any other crime ever. 31,980 people lost their psychotherapy notes, which ended up being published online, which are public today. The things that you told your shrink, that you don't tell anyone, were published. And some of the victims are underage. Doesn't get any worse than that. We have reports, I don't have first-hand knowledge, but we have reports of suicides as an end result of this case. And he gets the maximum sentence, which isn't nearly to what you would get for a real-world crime.
Yeah. We have a fact question. Which is bigger business for criminals, drugs or cybercrime?
I think it's still drugs. If you Google for this, you'll find plenty of examples from different cybersecurity companies saying that cybercrime is much bigger than drug trade. I'm not buying that. Both are big, no doubt about it. But the challenge we have in measuring the size of cybercrime is what are we actually measuring? Because some of these statistics are looking at the damages, like how expensive was it? Some of these statistics are trying to measure how much money did the gangs actually make, how much did they profit, which is completely apples and oranges. But maybe this is a bit academic. It is a huge problem. It's a growing problem. We should do everything we can to cut it down, and we should do the same with drug problem as well. I still think drug problem, money-wise, is bigger than cybercrime, but both are too big.
Very good. We have hopefully now a picture from our wonderful artist somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'm scared.
About you. So Mr. Semgo Starans has done that.
Oh,
and this is you. A digital version of you and something very physical that you can touch also, Mikko, and take back home.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you, Kalev. Thank you, SKID.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mikko. You have still a lot of questions. Mikko is here for the expo break at least.
Yeah.
So grab Mikko and ask the questions we didn't manage to ask. And we go to the expo break now. 11:50 we continue here with the opera.